Hello and welcome to something new and different I thought I would do, and that is to attempt an actual Cities Skylines Let's Play, for real. It's been a while since I've done that, but we are going to do something different today. If you remember my previous attempt to make a Skylines Let's Play, I was making the city of Clatria, which was an organic city. This city, the city of Dbaou, will be organic too, but it will be organic in a completely different way. It'll actually be a lot more similar to my city of Klabanad, which is to say, organic in the sense of an organism growing. So, with that in mind, let's get into explaining exactly how this is going to work. Okay, so what I have here is a text document, and what we're going to do here is list my plans for the city. So basically, in the base game of City Skylines, you get certain unlocks at different points. Well, we're not going to play it like that at all, but we are going to keep with the idea of certain things happening at certain population levels. So basically, whenever we hit a new population level, I will do a new thing, and most of them are actually circular in nature. They will go around whatever has been previously built. Not everything, but most of them. So let's get into it. First of all, when we hit 1,000 people, I will make a 2-lane ring road, just like we had in Klabanad. Very simple. That will define our old city, and it will ring it. At 5,000 people, we shall build a central train station, somewhere on the edge of what we have built so far, which will of course be near the middle once urbanization continues. And it's from that point which our transportation system will spiderweb outward. Now at 10,000, we're going to do something that we didn't see in Klabanad, which is have a green ring. Basically, a little area where there will be no development, ringing what we've made so far. There will only be open land and parks. At 15,000, we're basically going to have a bicycle highway that surrounds the city at that point. It's going to be pretty chill, pretty nice. At 20,000 people, we shall build our first 4-lane road. It's going to be a boulevard ring road. Keep in mind, these are not the only things we're going to be doing, but when we hit these numbers, these are things I will require myself to do. And this one was indeed seen in Klabanad. At the population of 25,000, we will build the circular canal. You'll see when I show you the map. There's water at both ends, but we're going to dig a little canal into the city, and we're going to make it a little circle around. So, playing with water is a little dangerous in this game, but I think we might be able to do it successfully. At 30,000, a circular train line. Just a nice little train line that goes around what we've made so far. 35,000, a tree ring. Basically, I just click on trees and click a whole bunch of times and make a nice little visual barrier that sort of defines a section of the city. And at 40,000, we will finally make our first orbital highway. I kind of want to get to this point without making any expressways, but if one becomes necessary, which it does around this time, we'll make one, but it will be one that goes sort of into or maybe tangent to the city. But at 40,000, we'll actually make an orbital highway going in. At 50,000, we shall make an international airport. We will find a place not far, but not too far from what we've built, and we will connect it up to highways and public transportation. At 55,000, we shall make another canal. Yes, plenty of waterfront views for these fine people. At 60,000, another park ring. Just like the first, but a lot bigger. At 70,000, another circular train line. At 75,000, we're going to press that tree button a whole bunch more times. Oh boy. At 80,000, we will build a second orbital highway. By this time, we will almost definitely need it. At 90,000, guess what? Another canal. At 100,000, we are going to build a secondary city a little bit outside the first city. Of course, they will grow together, but I want to do something like a circular or spiral or some sort of pattern that's going to be interesting and just sort of like a little planned outgrowth. At 110,000, it's going to be another bike highway way out in the suburbs. And at 120,000, a third park ring, a big green belt out there. And at 135,000, this will be our fourth canal. The city will be getting pretty big by this point. Speaking of which, at 150,000, we will be building a third orbital highway. Very, very busy. And at 180,000, we shall be making the fifth and possibly final circular canal. This is going to be rather interesting. And at 200,000, once the city is very big, we're going to make some sort of special corridor. I'm not exactly sure what this will be yet, but I'm thinking a long snaking corridor that will include its own rail line, its own special zoning, and just a special design philosophy in general. We'll see what I feel like when we get there. At 250,000, we shall have a final big old bike ring way out in the suburbs, way out there. And then finally, at 300,000, we shall build a mega circular highway ringing everything. And that is the last thing I've listed. We might get up to 400,000. Heck, we might get to 500,000. But these are the things I have listed, and we will be referring to this list whenever I think we can. So let's take a look at the land of Dbaou, the city that we will be building. It is flat-ish. There are hills in the outlying areas that will be interesting to incorporate into whatever we're going to be doing. And like I said, there's water here and there's water there. There's also a couple little lakes here that have their own water source. So it'll be interesting to see how that is all put into the urban fabric. Now, there were highways going into the interior, but I decided to delete them, and we're going to be doing things ourselves. And yes, I know the elephant in this room. This is a disaster. This is terrible. It's sad. This was not created by the map's creator. It was created by me. This, I promise you, is temporary, and I'm going to have to introduce you to the concept of kayfabe, which comes from pro wrestling and basically means what is the reality that you're being presented. And I see this highway, you see this highway, but for the purposes of kayfabe, okay, this highway does not exist. It isn't real. So if we're in here, no highway. It's not real. So that is the assumption that we're going to go over. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We can take a look and see what we have going on in terms of like rail and flights and things. And yeah, I think we have everything that we need. I mean, you can put this airport anywhere, you know. So what we're going to do, well, first of all, yeah, let's just check to make sure that we do indeed have some connections to the harbor. This is going to get very interesting with harbors and stuff. It's going to be a big pain in the butt, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But anyway, we are going to start, and the way we're going to start is we're going to go here, because this allows us to see the individual tiles. And yes, I have the 25 tile thing on. And we're going to go to the center, which is right here. And what I've decided is we are going to start right here in between this ore zone and this forest. In fact, I want to put our first development right here by these trees. So the story of our city is that the first pioneers in this land saw this beautiful land. They came down here to the center of it. They sat in the shade of these trees looking around, and they said, I believe we should build a city here. And so to celebrate that that moment, they put a rock right here in the center of town. Yes, they did. Then, let's see, can we... Okay. I don't want to cut down the tree. Here's what we'll do. We're going to go in and put a deep green road. A deep green roundabout, you could say. In the center square. The center circle. There is something very vaguely New Englandy about this. This will serve as our center. I even like the name Holmes Street. That's pretty cool. By the way, if you're watching this, you are allowed to suggest street names. And we are going to make 3 streets come off of this Central Street. Let's take a look. Yep, we're going to do that. The only question is, where do they go? I'm thinking they go to the areas where there is the most open-looking stuff. So, what we're going to do is build these from here to the horizon, and we'll speed that up. And here we are. This is our first road going in. I did not want it to be straight. I wanted it to have a number of curves and waves. These will be known as the starting roads for the city, where it all began. But they will be going into further levels of things. All right, now for the second and third roads. I'm thinking we build one out in that direction. All right, there we go. There is our second road coming into the city. And now it's just time for one more. And I think... Yeah, that goes out into the ocean. So here's what we'll do. I actually think one going around the edge of the forest, like it's going to go to the ocean, but then branching off and going that way, up to those hills, is what we'll do. All right, here we go. There is our happy road coming into town, and here is where everything begins. So all we've got to do now is all the annoying little stuff that you have to do whenever you start a city. All right. So now we have water hooked up, and we are about to begin zoning for the first time. Now, until we get to 1,000 people, we are only going to use low density paved roads. So you can go over here and make them pavement, but they're still going to act just like dirt roads. Like, as far as the game is concerned, they are dirt. But as we know, these are actually paved. Paved little buddies. We're going to have some sort of power generation in this area. And I don't know. I think we're going to get a little bit funny. I did have solar plants before, and it is kind of weird to put one in the middle of the old town, but that is precisely what we are going to do. An old town solar plant. Also, I feel like this is where maybe some of our civic buildings can go. And also, yes, we are putting other roads into the roundabout. It might become crowded. We'll see. Also, that means, yes, we will have to put incinerators right here. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to have, but that's one of the things about the small town core. You just have to have every kind of building here that you can make. So we're going to start zoning now. And as this game always does in its earliest stages, things will develop pretty quickly here, especially if we turn the speed on full. As you can see, people are already moving in, and we'll add some commercial near our central area. And also parks. Can't forget parks. Well, it looks like we have our first people in the town, and also what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to make this so that anyone coming to or before each of the major roads will go into the inner lanes, but anyone going beyond that will go into the outer lanes. Understand? Yes? Very good. Yes, I do foresee that we will be using the lane selector tool quite a bit in this game. But that is A-okay. I think we can even build into the forest. But I kind of want to keep the forest somewhat intact. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that any roads that we build in the forest do not completely cover everything. And we're not even going to zone all the way to the back. We're just going to zone the first 2 or so layers. Yeah, just like that. Enjoy your forest, guys. Put some picnic tables here. And also, I realized we can do some things in the old town. For instance, we can have flower beds. Oh yeah. We're not going to make them go all the way around, I don't think, but we'll put flower beds of various colors near the various entrances. How pretty is that? And speaking of which, I feel like all these old towns need a cannon somewhere. It's like an old like Civil War cannon or something. Who knows? And we'll put in some places for kids to play. Ice cream van for those hot days. Yeah, I want to give this a real town square kind of look. But I don't know if I want to make it like a formal park district or anything. But yeah, we'll do that. You can even do something like this and put down these pavers to define a bit of an area. Yeah, it's super nice. And sure, why not put some signs up? Letting people know what is where. I'm gonna make a nice little cozy downtown area. Especially because I'm not going to be able to do this everywhere in our city. I think we should at least do it here. And one gazebo is enough. Yeah, that's fine. And we have our founding rock. We'll put three shrubs by it. And we can even put a random length of fence. It's coming together, isn't it? Yeah, I'm starting to like this quite a bit. Ooh, what's this? I mean, it's ugly, but hey, it's business. We are getting things done. Oh, crap. Water. Alright, so as we grow outwards, we're going to keep in mind our people's needs with the playgrounds. And I think there's like a dog park in here somewhere too. There we go. We'll put the dog park over here because I don't think they have as much in this area. And now you see we can no longer ignore the demand for industrial. So we definitely want to make some industrial on the outskirts of town. And we have multiple different kinds to pick from. But I think over here we can just have plain old regular industry. And over here we can begin some mining. But you know what? I just have a feeling that we were going to want to hold off on that for a little bit. Same with the forestry over here. We're just going to stick with a little bit of the good old industry. Keep the roads light and whimsical. Alright, I want to direct your attention to the fact that we have now hit our first milestone, that of 1,000 people, and I do believe we have created a quaint little town. Yes, it really doesn't look quite yet like this is the start of something big or grand. But I believe it will be. So, we are going to round out this episode by fulfilling the first of our thingy things by making a nice ring road. And I can make it any kind I want, but let's go with this. I want it to be very nice. Have a bike path, and I want it to have trees. We're going to make it a deep red. Yes. And the thing is, we can pick our street lamps. So we could have a nature reserve streetlight if we wanted to. And for the tree in the middle, we could put in a so much. Let's see. Yeah, let's see what the live oak looks like. Ooh. It's too thick. As much as I like it. What does a horse chestnut look like? Also, we can make the distance greater or less so it doesn't look so it still looks a bit too big. Ooh, you know what? Yeah. Can be stuck on this all day. But, oh heck, let's do that. So this road will peacefully go around our entire city. Also, I want to note that I'm turning off zoning on this road. I want it to be strictly a thoroughfare, and any zoning that takes place near the road is going to belong to the other roads. Alright, and there we have it. The circular road enclosing our old town. Of course, there is still room for expansion within the old town, but we will be growing quickly outside of it. There's more I want to do, but we are about to end this episode. The first thing I want to do is, as tempting as it would be to have a city of no traffic lights, I kind of want, for the realism, there to be traffic lights at each of these 3 major junctions. There will be traffic lights at other junctions too in the future, but for now we're going to go with these 3. And the other thing I want to declare is that outside of this radius, no other roads shall be this dark steely green. They shall be different colors, and this will be the one big clue that we leave behind, that this road goes into the center of our old city. So, there we have it. Our first little section, our historic downtown, has been built. So, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.